going to build? What does your company stand for? And how do you think you can make a difference in the world? Right? And then once you start from that truth and understanding who you are, then from that, the idea will emerge. If you start with the truth, the idea comes from that, and that's when you have something that lasts forever.
Hey guys, it's the Farooqi Brothers, and we're not going to even kind of get into the introductions the way we normally do because we're going to be talking about the life and legacy of Kobe Bryant today. And for those of you guys who don't know, even though I'm sure everyone knows by now, Kobe Bryant was tragically killed in a helicopter crash in California. And from the four of us, we've been big fans of Kobe Bryant his whole career. So it's going to be a somber kind of discussion where we're just going to talk about our favorite memories of Kobe, kind of his impact to us for our love of basketball, but in general, in terms of hard work, in terms of kind of taking that Mamba mentality, as they say. So we'll get right into it. I'm going to start with myself, and I'll just jump right in. And basketball has been such a big part of my life since as long as I can remember. As a little kid, you're watching basketball, and we were born in the 90s, so we started watching basketball in the 2000s. So that's after the Michael Jordan era, and the hero of basketball was Kobe Bryant, and then after that became LeBron, and then you get the current era of today. But Kobe Bryant was Michael Jordan for us, that was that player where you saw someone who was an absolute assassin, killer on the court, and you just were in awe. When Kobe Bryant was playing, you watched. And honestly, even if you weren't into basketball, you knew who Kobe Bryant was because he's just one of those names where he transcended the sport he was playing. So, obviously, his impact to me was a big part of him and LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. These are the kind of players that got me the courage to play basketball on a team for the first time. And I was in 7th grade when I joined my first basketball team for junior varsity. And the saying, everyone who's shooting a little garbage, a piece of paper into a garbage can, everyone yells Kobe, and that doesn't change, So a big part of when you're playing, you want to be Kobe, it's not even you want to be LeBron. Even if you have other players who are your favorite, you want to be Kobe, because that's how things work. So obviously hearing about Kobe Bryant's death was very shocking. It was very, it just shook you to the core. I was in disbelief, honestly, for almost a whole day. I was like, how can this be possible? And then watching all the players, watching how the NBA responded was, I was visibly shaken just watching all of it unfold. And you saw someone like Trae Young put up the numbers he did that night, but he also cried and he hugged his mom, because Kobe Bryant was his hero. So I think it's interesting to see his impact to everyone around him, people who have never met him, obviously his family, and it's worth noting that his daughter Gigi also died. So we definitely have our thoughts out for obviously Vanessa Bryant, who's her mother, and she's obviously going through a lot right now. But in terms of the four of us as brothers, we all kind of felt that same sinking feeling in our stomach when we heard the news, and I think Kobe's legacy is unmatched, so we're going to always obviously miss seeing him. His wisdom, obviously. He's been doing so many things off the court that obviously inspires us because we love doing off the court stuff for the community. So let's all just embody that Mamba mentality going forward. So I'm going to pass it over to Zion.
Yeah, I completely agree with all the words you said. Hearing the news, it's so shocking because you think that, you're so young, and it was like and he said that he takes helicopters all the time. It's like a routine thing for him. So just hearing the news that everything just happened so quickly, just happened like that, it is pretty shocking and devastating. I mean, for myself personally, Kobe Bryant was the biggest draw for me into basketball. Automatically, he was my favorite player and drove me to the Lakers, drove me to his team, and just seeing him play, seeing the way he worked on the court, it was like nothing I've ever seen anybody else do. So, that was just an immediate draw, and he's been my favorite player since. And now I've been a lifelong Laker fan since he retired. And really, I've carried, as far as some of my favorite colors, like and one of the colors I use in like almost all of my personalizations or clothing, things like that. Even the Farooqi logo, I choose gold, and that's because of Kobe Bryant and how he was such a big part of my childhood growing up and watching him play and watching him be such a crazy champion and winner. And so, just looking at that and thinking about all those times, it's pretty shocking to see him just like in a snap that, all right, he's gone, and it makes you think about, how precious life is, and, and you never know when your time is coming. So I think, just thoughts and prayers go out to his family and obviously families of all the other victims that are in the crash as well. And it's tough to hear it happen.
So for me and Samir, he was actually at my house, and we went to. I was just vacuuming, and then I saw Samir look at his phone, and he just looked up at me and he said, "Kobe died," and I was like, "What?" And my first reaction was, "How?" And they tell you that denial is the first kind of stage. You don't know how. You don't know what to think. Kobe Bryant he's Kobe. It's just like, it's a hard thing to take in. It just doesn't make sense. Because he's immortal. He was immortal on the court, at least. And because of that reality, it's a tough. You just never see it coming. Honestly, it's like, as someone that cheered against him actually for most of his career. Obviously, when he got older, then he wasn't really a championship threat in the same way he was when he was younger. So, someone that grew up with LeBron, LeBron is my favorite player. You grew up kind of cheering against him, but every time he had the ball in his hands, you would kind of have that fear that this guy's about to end. He's about to end your team, and it's just shocking. It's kind of hard to put into words. And celebrity deaths. Like, you look at how other people. Sometimes, like, we're not. I don't know for the four of us, but like, we're not used to it. Like, it's a hard thing to go through, just because like you're having a hard time understanding sometimes why you're feeling what you're feeling. You have a hard time, like, even though you understand just basic human decencies, like, obviously you're going to feel pain when you see someone that you grew up with, someone that you watched play goes, but you never truly understand the grief. You don't understand the amount of pain that can bring to you, just for your personal life. I wore his jersey today. I actually bought his jersey when he was near his retirement. I had a chance to buy LeBron's jersey, but I chose to buy his jersey just because he was older and he was about to retire, and I wanted his jersey. And I actually never really wore it. I wore it like in the house and stuff, but I never wore it outside ever. I had it with me, and something I just kept. And then today I wore it to school, and Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. He was a global superstar. He transcended all these borders. And, as I walk through the school, there's a lot of people wearing yellow and purple today. And there's this one kid, he saw my jersey, and he kind of called me over, and we started talking about how fragile life is. How, literally yesterday or the day before, LeBron passed him, and he tweeted, and it was cool. It's just hard to kind of think that he's gone. It's a very weird thing.
Yeah.
I know I'm rambling, so I'm going to let Samir talk, but the only thing I can say is, at the end of the day, life is very fragile, and Kobe Bryant is an example for a lot of people in terms of his drive and motivation, and also in terms of relationships. He handled, for the most, he did his thing. He was good with everyone. And if there's ever a message that I would send out to whoever's going to hear this podcast, it's that, if there's someone that you have have hurt or they hurt you, it's better to go and talk to them now, because there will come a time when you will have to. There's going to come a time where they won't be able to speak to you and you won't be able to speak to them. So that would be kind of my message. Well, obviously, my thoughts and prayers go out to the family and everyone involved. Not just Kobe Bryant. There was other people on that lost their lives. So yeah,
and it's crazy to see the amount of impact he had on people. Like, you get messages from people you wouldn't even expect. You can see people reposting about Kobe that you wouldn't even expect to repost, but how tragic it was, and how they would never expect Kobe had passed away this early in his life, so young. But it really is like heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think like Samir said, the impact is crazy. I mean, you saw so many pictures of the people outside of Staples Center and people Kobe's high school and all these different places. There's places people are just sitting in their court, just on the floor crying with the basketball in their hand. And these are pictures that have been going up. And like Samir said, people who you don't even expect. Like, I had people from high school text me and say, I know how much of a big basketball fan you are, so I'm sorry that you're whatever you're feeling. I'm like, wow. And my own basketball coach, the coach who coached me throughout high school, we talked also about history, about Kobe Bryant. And this is the impact this guy has, And it's such an impact. Like, you have people, cousins. My little cousin who's 9 years old, I saw him today, and he told me that everyone in his class, including him, they're all sad. They're all sad the whole day. And these are people who, my cousin, he wasn't even watching basketball by the time when Kobe retired. But his impact is so great that even after retirement, Kobe has impact on him. And even my parents, like my mom was visibly shaken when she heard about Kobe. This is something that, again, it's a multi-generational thing. Like literally, I saw my grandfather today, and he mentioned Kobe Bryant to me. My grandfather. This is the kind of impact that Kobe Bryant has. Everyone knows. So I think that's the thing we're talking about, where, when someone makes impact to everyone's life, it doesn't matter how big or small, just watching someone play basketball can make you feel good, and that escapism alone warrants the pain. Like what Umar was saying, that, you're questioning why you feel sometimes. There's no need to question it in my head, because you watch one person play a sport that you love for 10 plus years, who you have a certain image of for 10 plus years, and then this person tragically dies, you're going to feel it. Like, this is natural. But
yeah, especially when Kobe Bryant was like a personality that, like, ultimate competitor and all in basketball, but he seemed like bigger than life. He seemed like he's Kobe freaking Bryant. Like, he just
exactly.
You would think that. I told Samir this weirdly, like we were talking the same day when we heard what happened, and I was like, it's weird. It doesn't make sense. I kept saying that. I was like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that Kobe Bryant passed away, and it's just like a weird thing. He's almost like a superhero, right?
Yeah.
That's the mentality you get, and he was on the court. I mean, he was a superhero.
You're telling me we're actually watching the game right now, his final game, and it's 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter of his last game, and he is just popping threes, swishing them in. Like, this is what Kobe Bryant was. This is his last game, and he's put 20 years of work, and he's doing that kind of thing, and we're watching that while recording it, which makes it all the more poignant. And I think we should leave it, on this point. And I think it's a quick story, and we talked about it a few times, the four of us, when we got on call after hearing about Kobe. But it's kind of the first story that I remember the four of us in one room talking about Kobe Bryant. And we couldn't have been more than 5, 6 years old, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe I was 10, 11. Umar and Samir were probably in their 7, 8, 9, Zion was maybe 10 years old, 9 years old. But we were talking about basketball. We were talking about our favorite players. And at the time, Umar and Samir, they weren't as into basketball, but so I asked them, like, guys, me and Zion were getting into basketball for the first time, and I'm like, let's watch basketball, let's get into basketball, let's all pick our favorite players, right? And then I asked Umar, and I looked at him, I said, Umar, who's your favorite player? And this is a Umar that's 7 years old. I'm talking about a kid, and I'm myself a kid too. And he says, I never watched basketball, but he says one word to me. He says Kobe. Not Kobe Bryant, just Kobe. And I remember it as clear as day. And I looked at him and said, how do you know Kobe? He's like, everyone knows Kobe. Of course I know Kobe. It's almost like you didn't have to think twice about it. And then I told him, oh yeah, my favorite player is LeBron. And Zion said, oh, you know what, my favorite player is Kobe. And then we had a whole discussion about it. And now flash forward to 2020, and we're having this conversation, on our own platform. And I think that's the kind of the message of Kobe. I think one thing we should leave it at is that we should all embody that Mamba mentality, to work hard at our craft. Whatever you're good at, to you guys listening, anything you're good at, whatever you can do, be the best at it that you can, And Kobe Bryant, he's not like a naturally gifted, well, he's naturally gifted, but he wasn't some God-given body that he had that can, he was a Kareem or a LeBron or a Magic. This guy was a normal kind of guy, but he worked so hard at his craft. He didn't take no for an answer. People are talking about his stories. He was on minutes restrictions. He didn't come out of the NBA as a number one pick that everyone thought was going to be a phenom. He was on the bench in the beginning of his career. He had to make his name, and he fought through it. And he was the first one in the gym, the last one to leave the gym. So whatever you are doing, for us, maybe is this stuff. Comic book debate. For you guys, might be whatever you're doing in your career, but you got to put in your 110%. Because that's what Kobe Bryant did. What do you guys think about Kobe Bryant's legacy? Do you guys have any interesting Kobe Bryant stories? Your first memory of watching him play? Your first memory of kind of getting into basketball? What did Kobe Bryant mean to you? We want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. From myself, from Zayan, from Umar, and from Samir, this is the Farooqi Bros. We'll see you next time. Peace out.